I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
Welcome to the Michele Tafoya podcast.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Michele Tafoya podcast. Please don't forget to like us, subscribe, pass us along to other people that you know. We love having this growing group hanging out with us every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I'm Michele Tafoya. Like I said, please subscribe. So here we go. It is 9/11. This is a day that is somber. This is a day that should remind you of how much we've lost in terms of liberties in this country because we were attacked by an outside terrorist group. So you can't just walk onto an airplane anymore. And some of these, some of this is good. These developments are good. They keep us safe. I think one of the things that we learned on 9/11 that we had probably been a little bit naive about before is that we're not as safe as we thought we were. I mean, the failure of imagination to predict something like 9/11, it was brought on by complacency, by this idea that we're safe and we're powerful and we're a rich country and no one's going to mess with us. But they did. And for those who aren't aware of everything 9/11-ish, educate yourselves. Because there's a reason you go through the massive amounts of security you do all the time in this country now. And it was born on 9/11 of 2001. So while I want to remember 9/11, the elephant in the room is September 10th, 2024, and the debate that we heard last night, which has me angry, it has me depressed, and it has me exceedingly, exceedingly anxious, nervous, not anxious in a good way, a little terrified. And I'll explain all of it right after this. Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. With crazy inflation and global uncertainty looming, it's clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. If you haven't had your eye on gold, well, it's time to make it a priority. So I urge you to call my friends at Priority Gold to find out how they can help you diversify your savings with physical gold and silver. Call 1-800-405-GOLD or visit prioritygold.com/golden for a free gold info guide. Plus, see if you qualify for free shipping and storage. Experts agree that physical gold is one of the best ways to fortify your savings, no matter the economic climate. Act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market is golden. Call 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist or visit prioritygold.com/golden to learn more. 1-800-405-GOLD or prioritygold.com/golden. I do not want to ignore that today is 9/11, and I do not have more distinct memories in my life than I do of that day. I mean, that day is emblazoned in my memory. And in fact, the weather that day looks very similar to the day I'm experiencing here where I live. I don't know about you, but it's a beautiful fall day. And the world came to a halt on 9/11 of 2001, and everything changed. And it proved one thing: we are not as safe as we thought we are. Our liberties are going to be chipped away at. You can't just walk onto a plane or a train or into a building anymore without, going through a lot of security. And that people hate the West. This was proven again on October 7th of 2023 when Hamas did what it did in Israel. And I remember distinctly the next day brothers and cousins of the victims came out and said, "You are next, America, you are next. Israel is the little Satan, America is the big Satan." That's what the terrorists believe, and they still believe it. So they hit us horribly on 9/11, and they hit Israel horribly on October 7th. And yet we had a debate last night that focused more on the race of one of the candidates and a lot of mistruths and an extremely biased set of moderators. I'll use air quotes around that. They didn't moderate the debate. They guided the debate. They fact-checked one side and not the other. And so while a lot of Democrats are gleeful today and think that Kamala Harris outperformed expectations, and she did. We know what she was doing all those days in that Pittsburgh hotel room, prepping and memorizing lines. What did she really tell us? There are a lot of things she told us, and there are a lot of questions we need to be asking ourselves still. See, one of the key things about living in America is liberty. Liberty and justice for all. It's in our Pledge of Allegiance. Liberty, how is it defined? How do you define it? Do you think about your liberties? How do you define it? How'd you feel during COVID? Did you have your liberties? Were you forced to get a vaccine? Were you forced to mask up? Now, you can say it was for the greater good, et cetera, et cetera. But how were your liberties affected? And how might Kamala Harris impact your liberties if she is President Harris? You see, we're living in a time when there are two Americas. I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about this. We have two Americas right now. One is the group of liberty-loving people who want to live their lives, who don't want to bother other people, who want to live responsibly and take accountability for their own decisions and their own lives within the confines of the laws that we pass in this country. And then there's the other America that sees things very differently, that sees people as victims, that sees people as needing government to be free. Think about that. I need government to be free. There's a weird pretzel logic there that we could make work. But what Kamala Harris and the Dems are talking about is government that is run by people who think they know better than you do. And this is what we see again and again from her. And sadly, the moderators didn't drill down on that last night. Sadly, the moderators fact-checked one side and not the other. It was so gross that I'm really depressed and sick about it this morning. So yeah, a lot of missed opportunities for the former President Trump, and an above average showing by this vacuous woman who really gave no details. She said she had a plan for this and that, a plan for this and that, a plan for this and that. This is the same woman that proposed price controls. If you're in the grocery business, that ought to alarm you. And these moderators defended her on abortion after 9 months, saying it doesn't happen. I live in Minnesota, where it has happened. It has happened in other states. So no matter how you feel about abortion, and I happen to be pro-choice with exceptions, no matter how you feel about that, ask yourself about the lies that were told, that the way that those moderators told you that there's no state in America where abortions are acceptable after 9 months. And whereas President Trump misspoke early and said it was the governor of West Virginia, he corrected himself as the governor of Virginia, who said, and we have it on tape and we'll play it for you right now, that sometimes maybe it's just the best case to keep the baby comfortable until we decide what to do with it. Let's roll that sound now.
You know, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. the infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
So that is true. That was true. It remains true. And here in Minnesota, it is true. And in other states, I'm sure. But they denied it. The moderators denied it last night. They also brought up race. And this made me particularly sick. And we'll get into that right after this. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the increasing cost of health insurance? Have you had enough of not having control over your healthcare dollars? Introducing ShareRight, healthcare done the right way. At ShareRight, you're not just a number. You're part of a caring community. And forget about paying excessive premiums. With ShareRight, you stand to save 30 to 50% compared to health insurance. Think about what you could do with all those savings. But it's more than just savings. ShareRight ensures you have access to the care you deserve precisely when you need it. From routine checkups to unexpected emergencies, with ShareRight, your healthcare is our top priority. Empower yourself today by taking control of your healthcare costs. Visit shareright.org/Tafoya, Tafoya, to learn more and see how much you can save. Visit shareright.org/Tafoya. That's SHARERIGHT.org/Tafoya for healthcare done the right way. Tafoya.
I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black." I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something, I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
Okay, that was a moment, right? And, you know, Kamala Harris looked on gleefully as the moderators teed up this very contentious moment. Why is it appropriate to bring race into politics? Haven't we been seeing politics made racial forever? I mean, this woman, it's funny. We saw recently Alexa answer a question about why should I vote for Kamala Harris? Well, she's a woman of color who's done very well. Alexa weighs in on race. All right. It's amazing how much the Democrats weigh in on identity politics, and they use it as a way to paint victimhood all over people. So whether you're black, Hispanic, they're going after the black vote, they're going after the Hispanic vote. It just, come on. We're not stupid. It's the Democrats who do this. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black? How appropriate is that? Was Joe Biden ever pressed on that? He's out of the picture, so no one really cares. But I mean, what a waste of time in all of this in order to capture another gotcha moment against President Trump. I am no Trump apologist, but I'm smart enough, and I know you are too, to see what they were trying to do there, what David Muir and ABC were trying to do there. David Muir is one of those guys, by the way, that I would classify as an elitist. See, we're living in two Americas right now. There's the elitist Democrat view that we know what's better for you. We have the moral high ground. We are educated, pro-Palestinian, on and on. World Economic Forum stuff. You know, yes, I fly a private jet, but you shouldn't, kind of thing. And then there's everybody else who just wants to live freely. Now, what the Democrats think of living freely is, you know what? We're going to take care of you cradle to grave. When we're going to take care of you. We're going to give your parents a huge tax break so they can buy you a crib. As Kamala said last night, I can see the benefits of these child tax credits. I get it. And they've been in existence forever. But what they are telling you is that you need us to help you buy that crib. You need us to pay you while you're not working. You need us to provide welfare. Yeah, and some people do need that. There is no doubt. And as my husband likes to say, every great society takes care of the people that need taken care of. The vast majority of us don't need taking care of. We sign our student loans promising to pay them back, not relying on the government to take care of them for us. And the only way for the government to take care of all of these costs, to give you freedom from responsibility, when actually liberty, as my producer John rightly reminded me this morning, is the liberty that you earn with responsibility, that responsibility comes along with freedom, that when you're given freedom, you're responsible for your own actions, you're responsible to do the right things, you're responsible for yourself, your own life, and the life of your family. That's what freedom is. Freedom is the ability to control your own future without relying on the government. Because you see, the bigger the government gets, the smaller the individual gets. The bigger the government gets and they say, we're going to give, well, they can take. And in order to pay for all these plans that Kamala Harris has, she's got to take a ton of money away from a lot of people. And I know I'm hearing it right now. Oh, but the rich need to pay their fair share. It wouldn't matter how much the rich paid. Have you seen our national debt? We've been living irresponsibly for so long, and that is a national security threat. And the biggest key to freedom, and people have known this from the time of the Magna Carta, okay, is public safety. That is number one. And that is why, even though I'm a pro-choice woman with exceptions, abortion isn't even in the top 5 of my list. Public safety is number one. Feeling safe from threats, domestic and foreign. Feeling like I can take my kids to the movie theater and not worry about it. And no, that doesn't mean confiscating guns, by the way. Feeling like, we're not going to have a bunch of people let into our country unvetted to do and live as they please. Hoping that the media, the news media, the objective news media is honest enough to tell us the truth. That's why we have a free press, to hold truth to power. And they're not doing it. So I'm meandering a little bit here. But this country was built on freedom and liberty so that you could do your own thing. And I'm not talking about getting paid to finger paint. I'm talking about being responsible for your life and your future and your family. And being able to choose where your kid gets an education. And yes, being able to choose an abortion if you need it. And a quick aside here, as everyone is so obsessed with abortion, moved my son into his dorm this week, and there in the in the hallway is a vending machine with Plan B accessible in the vending machine. There are a million ways to make the right choice, ladies. So it doesn't always have to resort to abortion. And yes, it is the last ditch. And I like I said, I'm pro-choice. But to suggest, and as Kamala Harris did, that Trump is going to sign an abortion ban, and then he says, no, I'm not. And they just let it slide, as they did so many things. The moderators let the Fine People hoax slide. They let the bloodbath hoax slide. They let the Project 2025 hoax slide. They let so many things slide unless they came out of the mouth of Donald Trump. So I don't care if you hate Donald Trump. That's your prerogative. And I don't care if you were impressed by Kamala Harris last night. That's your prerogative. I want you to think about your own personal freedom. Do you need to rely on the government for your freedom? Do you need to rely on the government for your liberty? Or do you need to rely on the government to stay out of your life? Mind your own business, as Tim Walz says. Liberty means you are free to live your life within the confines of the law without depending on others. And if you do depend on others, it sure as hell shouldn't be the government. I can't say enough about private institutions like Tunnel to Towers, like St. Jude's Hospital, like so many of these organizations that help take care of people who really need it. But the government, there's always a string attached. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Look at your paycheck. Look at where all that tax money is going or not. And ask yourself why they're in this situation. My mind is so scattered today because of this notion that there are two Americas right now. And it's really scary and it's really sad. And we're seeing things so differently. And I have to wonder how we got here. That we are just, one side is saying the sky is blue and the other side is saying the sky is green. How did we get here? And what do we do about it? And this woman who says she wants to unify the country, I mean, come on. It's just disingenuous, and her entire career shows you that. They didn't ask her about sex change operations for illegal migrant inmates. They didn't ask her about price controls. They didn't press her on anything. And it was sickening. Was Donald Trump well prepared? Nah. Was she well prepared? Yeah. Did the moderators have an outsized influence? Hell yes. We've got 8 weeks. Do your research like Taylor Swift said she did. And I'm sure it's no surprise that she endorsed Kamala Harris. It's going to be interesting to see if she shows up to any more Chiefs games. I think there are a lot of Chiefs fans that probably disagree with her, but we'll see. Oh, I'm depressed today because of the state of our country, the divisiveness, and it was in stark relief with those moderators last night. That's all I can say. Do I wish Trump had been better prepared? Yeah, I thought he kept his, stuff together pretty well considering what was being thrown at him. But there were plenty of missed opportunities. At the same time, there are plenty of platitudes from the other side that sounded really good. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Question her plans. Question her plans. Question her plans. And question her lies. Just like you've always wanted to question Donald Trump's lies. Apply it evenly. God, I hope and pray that we can return to the America that I remember from being a kid, where we all cheered for the same team at the Olympic Games, where we all stood and sang the national anthem together. But I see a very different America today, and it worries me greatly, greatly. So I'm sorry to sound like Debbie Downer. I'm going to continue to say be brave and do good, because I believe those two things are needed now more than ever. And think about liberty. Think about what it means. Think about what it means. And do you want to rely on government bureaucrats to give you what you need? Or do you want to earn it on your own? Because if we rely on other people's money, it runs out eventually, folks. Oh, there's so many ways I could go with this. I'm going to cut it short right here. Be brave, do good, and we'll see you next time.